Our 2022 Hall of Fame inductee, B.Person. Ron Brenner is an ADM Hall of Fame member himself, former longtime coach and teacher at ADM. Sorry, woke you up.
Thank you, Ron, and thank the Hall of Fame committee for all the work getting these young individuals up here, well deserving. I was a former baseball coach, and so I just wanted to say there is a game on TV tonight, and I was hoping to influence these people to keep it short so I can watch the Field of Dreams game when I get home. But, anyhow, I guess I have to take it upon my own hands to keep it short and sweet. So one thing I was thinking while these people were talking up here, and by the way, there was some great things said tonight, and so many things I agree with, and I just want to say ditto to almost everything, if not everything. It was very good. But one thing kept driving in my mind when we were talking about the Grove family. I'm thinking, wow, we're talking about the Groves and their historical importance to this community. And I remember coming here, Jeff was playing. He was in the backfield. He went off to college. Lloyd was at the games, and Lloyd was very vocal. And I think, wow, this guy is gung-ho. And of course, Donna was very nice as well, but pretty muted. But Lloyd, he was there. He would do it. So I remember Jeff was very successful, went on to college, and of course I thought, well, Jeff's in college, Lloyd will kind of be in the back seat now, he'll kind of muted. So I went to one of the college games and watched Jeff play. Well, I didn't think things were going well because Jeff was always in the backfield. As I recall, they wanted to put Jeff in the line. Maybe it's center or guard or something. Well, after the game was over, man, Lloyd was out of the stands like a rocket. There went the coach off the field with Lloyd right behind him. Oh, man, things just don't change. It's in the blood. And let me tell you, the competitiveness of the Grove family is well seated genetically. So that is just the way it is. And so some of these other inductees, I do not know their backgrounds and families as well, but I'm sure there's just as much competitive spirit in them to be as successful as they were and probably still are in their lives. So let's talk about Brad. Congratulations to Brad and all you people for making this honor tonight. Brad played baseball for me. He played 3 other sports. And I think for the most part, we see 12 letters, 14 letters, 13 letters. You know, I don't know where this is going in the future because I think the day of the 14 letter winner in high school, they're going to be harder to find. It's just harder to find. When I started here coaching, I was coaching 4 sports, okay? And we had coaches who were head coaches in 3 sports. And maybe some even in 4, but 3 sports, they were the head coach. So they didn't have time to focus on this sport or that sport because they were moving on to another sport. And so the pressure on the athletes to contribute in many different sports was kind of the way it was. You know, let's just do all 4 sports. But today is different. Coaches are usually head coach in 1 sport. And they're very focused on that sport. And every student that plays for them in that sport, they have their undivided attention. So, you know, the day of the 4 seasoned athlete, I think is dwindling. The competition is greater. They focus more on those sports. So these guys were the quintessential people of the Renaissance people. They were a little bit of everything. And Jordan going out for baseball his senior year, but that's amazing because of course I coached baseball and I was always fighting for someone to come out for baseball. Your uncle, Jason, man, he viewed himself as a football player, but he came out for baseball and he was very good. And we had to make adjustments for that. Adjustments that aren't is easy to make now because, you know, he missed a lot of games because he went to football camps and stuff. So we would say, okay, you know, here's the rules. You miss a game, you have to sit here. You know, you can't do that. But, you know, he did it, and we did it, and we moved on. We didn't take it personally. He didn't take it personally. It was just the way it was. We loved him for what he was, and we would take him any way we could. So that's just the way it works back then. And I hope it continues to work because, as Rachel said, playing all sports was a big part of the experience. Being successful is easy. Not being successful, having 2 wins, that's something to overcome. Not every athlete. You always reach your level of equality. You get to a point where you plateau, and there's people always a little above you. I don't know if you can ever say that you are the top of everything. Maybe you can, but it's only temporary. So you have to be able to deal with all those things in life. So let's get to Brad. Okay, Brad played baseball. He did track. So when he came out for baseball, he always qualified for state track. He was at Drake. He was at state track. So, okay, you're still in the season. So do you come to baseball practice? No, you don't have to. In fact, if you want to, go ahead. But I'm certainly not going to tell you, get over here, you got to play baseball, you got to practice, or you're not going to start, you're not going to do this. You can't say that because Brad had a sport, he was very successful in it. So I remember, well, a lot of times. He came, well, state track meet was the same weekend we had our first baseball tournament, okay? Brad, I don't know if he picked up a bat in a year, okay? I can't tell you what he did because, you know, I never wrote him to see if he would show up. So he comes back from state tag, he's throwing a shot in distance. Okay, he walks in, we're down at the old park. Here's Brad, got his uniform on. Ready to go, coach. He's just thrown his state track, he's done the track. So I said, okay, you're in the lineup. We'll put him right in. Okay. I mean, you can't say him on the bench, he's an athlete. So he gets in, gets up. First pitch, home run. Out in the baby pool, I'm going. You're making all these other guys like who've been here swinging bats all the time feel like a schmuck because this is a pretty easy sport, don't you? So that's the way it was with Brad. And I will have to say in all seriousness, Brad, in my mind, was the purest hitter that I ever coached, and that's quite a few years. He had a sweet swing. He was a pure hitter. 440 was his batting average through 4 years of high school baseball. That was his average, I mean, for all 4 years. And his freshman year, he didn't play much. Maybe, I think 3 or 4 at-bats, but he was a starter, sophomore, junior, and senior. And some of those years, I think he had 300 something, but he had a couple 500 years there, you know, so his last years. He kept going like this, you know. And that's the beauty of not practicing 24/7 on one sport, you know. That you kind of Brad didn't practice much, except for in season, so he was always going like that. He was always improving, so he kept getting better and better. So that was great. Now pitching was another thing. Brad had a relationship, it was kind of a love-hate relationship with pitching. I always kind of liked Brad to pitch, but sometimes Brad didn't like to pitch as much. But you know what? We finally got it figured out his senior year, and he was the bullpen ace. He came out of the bullpen. He had 9 saves, I believe, his senior year, and that was quite an accomplishment. He played on those 4 years. We won the conference that 4 years, and as Mr. Hoy said, Coach, sure it was you? I don't think so. We just happened to have great athletes for those 4 or 5 years we won the conference in a row. You know, the best thing I could do is just get out of the way and let them do their thing and allow them to succeed. But for Brad to start 3 years with that many good athletes was quite an accomplishment. And I'm sure that was in all the sports during that time period from the 80s. So, in closing, Brad, let's say congratulations, well deserved, and let's have the award.
Welcome back. in the class of 1988, Hall of Famer Brad Person.
Brought one thing with me from the 80s. I got a phone call in December. I thought, you know what, I got to do it one more time. And I said I'd clean up afterwards, and my wife looked at me and goes, I'm not sure you're going to clean up. We'll wait and see how that goes. I brought a lot with the 90s and 2000s too, but it is what it is. I see several of my coaches out here before I get started, and I want to thank Ron for the presentation. Thank you very much. I didn't need these back then either, by the way. But I already came clean on one thing with Mr. Brenner, what I did when I was a kid in high school and surprised him. So I'm going to come clean real quick. This is unannounced with Mr. Wisner. I apologize for rearranging all the spark plug wires in the school bus in 1986 outside in front of the school here. We all were messing around, didn't feel like practicing too much. We used to have to drive the bus down to the other field. And we were outside doing the things I guess high school boys do. And coaches weren't out yet. We popped it and moved the spark plug wire. The bus wouldn't start, and so of course we stayed here, didn't do near as much, and went home. So it was so successful. So I do apologize. This honor is awesome. I want to say thanks to a lot of people. First off, to the Alumni State Association. This has been kind of a cool little journey. I just appreciate the award. And thanks to Melanie, Bart, you guys. You're clearly the ones that do a ton of legwork to keep the wheels rolling on this thing. Thank you so much for guiding us, telling us what to do, and how to get from wherever we were to right here. Appreciate that. And then once again, thanks. I think there's a couple of people, from what I understood, that nominated you in the course of time, and you know who you are. Thank you very much for those nominations. Thanks to the coaches of years past who invested their time and energy into an ornery kid like me. Coach Jetman is not here, but Coach Bond is, Wisner, Mr. Rolls, Coach Brenner. They spent countless hours helping us kids do what we did and help us grow into the individuals that we became later in life. Lots of stories to tell of some of these guys. I'll get to a few of them. I promise I know you guys are all ready to go home, but I won't take up too much of your time. The ultimate thanks has to go to your parents when you're somebody like me standing up here. Dad always seemed to have time to play catch or take me down to the batting cage when a slump would come my way. We just go down, he'd throw balls, and I'd hit my way out of it. You know, it just seemed to be how it worked. Might sound cruel today, but a kid that's afraid of a baseball is probably not going to spend a whole lot of time on a baseball field. There used to be a big backstop on the old baseball field down here, and Dad would sit me right up against that thing and I took a few of them off of the nose, the chin, the shoulder. Nothing fell off, nothing fell apart. And you'll learn how not to be afraid of a baseball through things like that. He's always on working to help me better at baseball. I mean, that was the one sport that he definitely did back in the day, and I owe a ton of success to him for that. There's no question about that. Can't forget Mom. She was always out there cheering me on. Shoes, clothes, whatever it took to get me there. Taxi cab early on. Moped did a little of that too when I was really young, but just thanks so much for everything, all the investment. I can remember even hearing her above the noise, and I'm going to get to this girl we got here in a minute that everybody keeps talking about too. But the one person that I could hear about that noise a lot of nights was my mom. So I'm on the football field. Thanks for everything, guys. It's how a kid gets here, you know. Can't forget my wife, Monica. She's put a ton of effort into putting all that together out there, digging up 35 years worth of stuff from how many houses that we moved, you know. Came out of their basement originally, moved with us. She just spent a lot of time putting that stuff together, and thank you so much for doing that. I know it was tough at times. I thank my kids. I mean, they've been a joy to watch go through the Tiger ranks. My oldest now, she's down with the Jacksonville Jaguars as a dietetic intern. I think she's probably watching on that phone right there. And she's doing her thing down there. She's graduated with a master's degree from Florida State. My middle daughter's here. She's going to school. She's a senior at Concordia this year. And the youngest one had already had plans for this evening. She's at a concert at the state fair. Okay, go ahead and go. What do you do? One of the things about things like this, though, is the ability to reflect. I mean, in the memories listening to you guys, John was great listening to your stories, and the coach. That stuff's way cool to me. I think that is so neat when you can hear. Those are building blocks to this community, building blocks to these programs, building blocks to what a Tiger is. And it's so awesome just to hear stories like that, you know, and how we've come through the years to who we are today. All these memories, to me, living is about the memories we make. I remember Friday nights. We had these little new things called Sony Walkman, and we had headphones. Believe me, those were new things back in that day. And we had cassette tapes, 90 minutes. You had two sides. I recorded one song on both sides, getting ready for these football events on Friday night. Red Hot, Motley Crue. I don't know if any of you are friends with them, if you like them or not, whatever. I'm sure a lot of you don't. But anyway, that song would energize me, for the competition ahead. And I always remember listening to Grovey on the sidelines. That was one of the things I wanted to make sure. It's amazing how tight this is, because there's several of these things that how this community, is part of the success of all of us. Once again, sound was sound on the football field. You didn't hear a lot of things. Yeah, I heard Mom here and there. I think I heard Skip Harsh a time or two. But I know there was no doubt about it. There could be a drone of noise of the game going on, and somehow or another you would hear what Lloyd had to say. And I tell you, that's just, it is a fantastic memory. And of course, the one thing I certainly remember is this gentleman right here, Ron Gilliland's voice on a loudspeaker. It's a professional of voice as any big-time announcer, in my opinion, on your TV and your radio, and he is a Tiger. I'd like to that Coach Brenner brought up the track meet. I remember competing at state track meet, not allowed. I didn't think I was allowed, so I apologize. I thought I was told not to pick up a baseball or bat. But anyway, wasn't allowed to do that, and just be showing up on those weekends for putting the uniform on and calling myself a baseball player and going out and playing just after throwing a shot put a discus. But something I certainly remember out of Coach Brenner, he'd get up to the plate and he'd start throwing those big fat meatballs and batting practice, and you'd ding a few of them, they'd go over the fence, get a little bit of a big head. He had a way to fix that, a thing called fork ball. And we'd take you right back down, get your head out of the clouds when you needed it. And I know I appreciate that more than you'll ever know when it comes to things like that. I remember classmates like Tony Marlowe, Rowdy Miracle, they usually batted 1 and 2. One way or another, they always seemed to get on base, so you can probably attest to that. Somehow or another, they were on base, and it kind of made it fairly easy for number 4 batter to ring up a few RBIs per game because they were always on base. Lots of things we remember. They're definitely whirlwinds, but I have 3 quick stories, and I promise I'll let you out of here. Baseball. I didn't grow up in Adel. I moved here in 7th grade. I lived in Pleasant Hill, and one night, I had been out playing a Little League baseball game. I don't know if you remember this or not. But I played senior majors, and we were the A's. So you got to think, I know Will's going to remember this, but you got to think about this. I showed up, me and the A, on a team called the A's. My undershirt was yellow. I had green and yellow stripes down my white pants, and I had yellow T-socks on. Sitting in the stands watching the game. And Coach hollers up at me and he goes, "Person, get down here." Okay. So I walked down through the crowd, got down there, and I'm an 8th grader, mind you, and he looks at me and says, "You're going in." And he said, "Go get warmed up, you're going in." And I thought, oh no. All right, so here we go. So long story short, went warmed up, couldn't find a jersey to fit. And so, guess what? Wiz got to lend me his jersey for 1 inning. And so I went out on the mound to pitch that night. And here I was. I had a borrowed black jersey and your hat, because I didn't have a hat. Borrowed black, red, and white jersey, black hat, and yellow T-socks, green and yellow on the side, yellow undershirt. And we were playing playing I-35. I will never forget this until I die. The crowd was hysterical. I mean, they couldn't figure out what was going on. They were saying things. I could hear some mean things. I could hear some funny things. Other people were just standing there doing their thing. And before the night was over, I threw 9 pitches and the game was over. And what a thing to remember, you know, as a baseball player in 8th grade before I ever got introduced to high school sports. Track and field is very ironic. In high school, Coach Jetton, I think, was our junior high school coach, and he tried to get me to go out for track, and I wanted nothing to do with throwing them stupid things around. Didn't want to throw an 8-pound weight, didn't want to throw a discus, didn't want to do any of that. And I'll be honest, for the record, he doesn't remember it this way, but I do. Sitting in his class, doing the right thing for once, which is abnormal, I'll be honest. He said, "Person, you got a detention." Looked at him and I thought, well, my goodness, I didn't even do anything this time. Now, many other times I might have been definitely guilty of detention and would have deserved it. Guess where I had to spend my detention? Down the track. And so you can kind of think about this. Detention got me into a sport that I honestly probably spent more time at than any of the other two on my own. For some reason, I ended up just loving me, a piece of steel, and a piece of wood and steel, throwing it out. Somehow or another, I just loved doing it. And it paid off. Back in that day, you kids get all your digital stuff and all that kind of thing. We had this brand new, fantastic technological advancement called videotape. And I think if I remember right, we got 1 or 2 of them in that I could study from. And the other thing that we learned from, obviously our coach helped out. The other thing was the U.S. Track and Field News once a month at the library. We'd go sit down, there'd be 1 page dedicated to throwers, and you'd sit and read it. There it was. That's how I got into track and field. Football. This one will be last, and I'll move on. Best memories is our senior year. This one, unfortunately, isn't funny, and I apologize, but it was an awesome memory. We'd never beaten this powerhouse that Coach Tryon had created called the Ogden Bulldogs. It was a 25-year run, I believe it was, if I remember correctly, that we had not beaten Ogden. Our senior year, we beat them 16-10. I remember hearing a bit about Ogden. They had somewhere around 100 to 102 boys out in the high school. So I'm talking freshman to senior. And I think something like 95 to 97 of them played football, and the other ones were managers and part of the team. So that whole community was invested in that team. I remember hearing that from somebody at one point. But I'll never forget, and I don't know if you remember this or not, we were playing, and all of a sudden the coach calls out 34 dive. Now, if you remember when football and soccer has 3 back, it was simpler. The 34 dive was a 3 backfield 4 hole. I'm a right offensive lineman. That's right off that. That's where they go. That's where they run. And he called it again. And he called it again. And he called it again. We were doing about a 7-yard average. We ran a 34 dive down the field, scored a touchdown against Ogden. All the way down there. I remember laughing at that. When the play would come in, we started laughing at it because it was the same play. Well, of course, still on cloud 9 from that victory. I went on probably to do one of the biggest accomplishments I ever did in high school after that game to celebrate. I celebrated like any offensive lineman would do. I ate a whole large deep dish pepperoni pizza and a pitcher of Mountain Dew from the Pizza Hut on 86th Street. The entire thing went down. I felt it the next day, trust me. I did. But that's how it went. That was one of probably the best memories we had in the football side of things. But wrapping up, so y'all can go home. I enjoyed my years as an 80 Tiger, Adel DeSoto Tiger. Sorry, Minburn, we weren't there yet. Our teachers and our admins and our coaches, one thing I don't know if they ever realize, and I don't know if they fully can, kind of need to listen to some of your stories tonight. You don't know how you shape these young lives. You just don't. And that's why when I graduated from college, I was going to be a teacher. Never worked out, unfortunately. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to give the kids the same opportunity that I had. I wanted to go coach. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to make impact in kids' lives. Like I said, unfortunately, it just didn't work out. But I am truly grateful, and I'm truly grateful for every one of those teachers, for our administrators. Stan Lundberg saved me from going down a bad hole. I can tell you that over the course of time. And our coaches. I mean, you guys were fantastic in teaching us kids how to grow up. And tonight, I just want to say a couple quick things about our class. I'm forever grateful to grow up with the class of 1988 at Adel DeSoto. You never really get to spend as much time with anybody or one group of people as you do the kids you grew up with in school. Though a few of us may have been stinkers from time to time, what a great group of people we had in our class. Thanks to that class for being a good friend and an ally to me growing up, and I hope I was the same way to you. We're missing a few of them today, and I just kind of like to shout out to them. We're missing Kurt Hall, we're missing Bill Duff, we're missing Darren Henderson, we're missing Ginger Britton, and we're missing Kim Hatfield. You know, as young as we are, you don't expect that kind of stuff to happen. But I just wanted to just say thank you to all of them as well for being friends as we grew up, and I know some families here, and thank you guys for raising good kids. And then, once again, also tonight, there's a few people that aren't here because we grieve with fellow Adel DeSoto alum Ron Huffman. He lost his son to an auto accident last week. And I know many are there tonight. I believe it's his visitation tonight. I was fortunate enough to spend a little time with Ron's boy Ryan, trying to help him out a little bit with the ins and outs of throwing, and it's just sad to hear. And I just want to say my heart and my prayers go out to Ron and his family. But once again, thanks to everyone who has labored to put this together tonight. It's been a great experience. Thank you to all my friends, all the school staff, the communities of Adel DeSoto that helped shape this man's life. I'm forever grateful to have been a Tiger and hopefully made those colors proud. Thanks again.
Once again, congratulations to our 2022 ADM Hall of Fame class. Now, one thing I want you to do is take a little time in the near future to consider who you should nominate as a candidate for ADM Hall of Fame. The only way you get into Hall of Fame is someone has to nominate you. It's a simple process. The application form's on the ADM alumni website. If you got trouble getting it off there, call me, I'll help you. You have teammates, you have people that helped our Hall of Famers, who many are here tonight, by playing with them and making them better players. So think about it. You all know somebody that deserves to be here. Now, we're going down and get some photos. Everybody have a chance. Thanks for coming. Have a safe trip home.